Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review of Yellowjackets Season 2, Episode 5, Two Truths and a Lie. Okay, here are my truths and a lie.
Oh, here we go.
This episode was awesome. This episode was my favorite episode of the season. This episode gave us so many interesting new thoughts and theories to talk about.
Okay, so you just gave three truths.
They're all true. I'm
All
just
right.
like Walter. Okay, I
Oh.
don't know. I'm sorry. Don't stop watching. Okay, no, we have a lot to get into here. I mean, this really was a great episode.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there are big questions I think about Javi, whatever is going on in the present with Ty and Lottie.
And what's going on with Nat and what she said? I mean, it's giving my theory even more legs. We're going to lose somebody before the end of this season in the present.
But we already lost Crystal. I'm wearing.
Not in the present.
I'm wearing black for Kristen's.
Oh.
No, I'm not really wearing black. We got
Kristen / Kristen.
Yeah, we only knew her
Crystal.
real name for one episode. I'm
I
not
know.
that sad. Okay, well, we'll get into all of this, but hit that subscribe button so you guys don't miss any other Yellowjackets coverage we have coming your way. We are deep into this season now, and hopefully things will get even more intriguing.
Just so everyone knows, there is no episode next week. Yeah, so just in case you're looking for it next week, or you're coming back here looking for a video or looking at what's going on, no episode next week, but we will be back when the episodes are back. So hit that subscribe button, follow us over on Instagram, Matt and Jess TV. Okay, let's get right into the Lottie and Nat stuff, because I think the Natalie stuff for me was the most sort of interesting part of this, where she really thought she was going to expose Lottie and bring out all these things she was hiding, but brought them all out to the group, and everyone's like, yeah, we know, we gave them to her, we're good, we are aware of what is going on. Instead, it brought Nat and Lottie to this place where she's like, Lottie's like, listen, Travis wrote this note where he was basically like, tell Nat she was right this whole time, sort of thing. And we get this flashback to them as adults, doing all kinds of stuff together. She ends up on the floor, almost dead, and she has this vision. And she has this vision back to when the plane crashed, except nobody made it. And that was the vision that she had. And for her, then it made her feel like whatever was out there with them, whether it was the others or a spirit or something, whatever it was that was kind of killing everybody off there, has come back with them, because now Travis is gone, and he's basically like, tell Nat she was right about all this, because now he's gone. I mean, I just really feel like the whole sort of journey we're going to go on is whatever was out in the wilderness has come back, and it wants everybody that made it. All the survivors are all going to come back, and they're all going to end up dead. I mean, we saw the last episode, Lottie was like trying to offer herself, and you're just like, please, just let this be enough. Let this be enough. She knows more of what is going on than she's really telling Nat. Like, the secret isn't she has everybody's bank accounts and phones.
I think the obvious question, and I don't know if this is even something the show will fully ever explain, as much as frustrating as that is to say, it's like, what is the darkness? Like, is this just a metaphor for the trauma and the suffering that these people have all faced, where eventually, yeah, I mean, I think your theory is correct. I think they are all going to end up kicking it at some point. It's just a question of how that's happening and how soon that's happening. But like, is this also some sort of, supernatural entity? Is this some sort of like dark sickness that is just like coursing through all of them?
Or is it something that they just believed in so deeply? Because we saw in the past, they were having like a circle and connecting with nature and whatever was going on there. The thing that they brought back might be their trauma and something that they believed in out there that helped keep them alive or helped get them to where they are, but they're bringing some of this mixed back with their trauma? Is it they've brought something back, or is this something that they're going to be sort of doing to each other?
And what happened to Travis may just sort of be, the snowball is starting to go down the hill at that point, and now it's just rolling and connecting and getting all this other snow and rocks into it, and it's just like you can't stop it now. It's gonna be an
Yeah.
avalanche.
And what was interesting about it is I had kind of thought that when they got back, that yeah, they were in touch a little bit because they're the only people that they're going to talk to about what happened. They all agreed that they were like, we're going to come back, we're going to talk to nobody about it. But if somebody was really like, man, I need to talk to somebody, that maybe they would talk to each other. I just wasn't sure. But then they said in this episode, we saw Ty and Van and everything that was
Yeah.
happening with their being reunited, where they mentioned that they were at Shauna's wedding. And the actress that plays Ty has mentioned that Van and Ty broke up after they got back, that that's sort of what the writers room had talked about, and that's where they landed with it, that it happens after. So these women have been in some kind of contact. I mean, they were at Shauna's wedding.
Yeah, I mean, it does sort of question what are the rules if you're all supposed to kind of like go your separate ways.
Yeah, because one of my theories about Ty and why the sleepwalking is coming back is because everybody's becoming reunited, because it seems like it was happening out in the wilderness. It seemingly now is kind of getting a little more control now that they are sort of doing this spiritual circle. It's been helping her a lot. And then she had said that it hasn't really happened since then. So I had thought that because they were all kind of coming together again, they hadn't seen each other, that it was kind of kicking it off. But now I just don't know.
Maybe it's just like, okay, if you're together for X amount of time, or if like these specific circumstances, maybe it's like triggered in some way by her stress, by like her state of
Maybe.
mind.
Yes.
I mean, if that circle is helping her to some degree, maybe having Van around her is kind of interesting, given, her and Van went through some absolutely terrible stuff out there, but maybe Van is just like a comfort person for her.
Mhm.
Can I just say, Van's store is really pretty cool. Like, I would go to Van's store, I would look around at all the VHS tapes. And by the way, I don't know if this is a nitpick. I don't know if this is a reality. You guys can let us know in the comments. Are there people out there who don't know what VHS tapes are? Like, do teenagers not know?
100% they don't know. I mean, that kind of would make sense. I mean, most people at home don't have a VHS player anymore. That's why I was kind of like, they're showing the store and that she has these VHS tapes. And I was kind of like, who has a VHS player anymore? Like, I think I have a broken one somewhere. I'm aging myself here. But the minute that she was like, and we rent the VHS players, I was like, okay, so that's how the store then would be able to kind of stay in some sort of business. But I mean, it doesn't look like it's doing very well. I mean, we saw that Van's got overdue bills that are piling up, and things are, not going that well for her, and how she's really dealing with her side of all this.
Go to Shark Tank, Van. They will help you out with this idea. I am all for this idea. I like Van and the present a lot too. It's cool to have Lauren Ambrose.
Oh man, I love her so much. It's cool to
Yeah,
sort of see online how many people didn't know that she was in 6 Feet Under. If you haven't seen
yeah.
6 Feet Under, this show is amazing. It is like a top 5 show of all time with the best ending of all time. Like, you guys gotta go see it.
The bar is set very high for you guys, Yellowjackets. No, I think having Van around at this point, it's gonna make things, I think, progressively more interesting. We're building up now towards this big reunion of the Yellowjackets in some shape or form. I mean, we've already got now the Misty and Natalie reunion, such as it is, where she's basically just told to go away.
That Van and Ty reunion, I
Yeah.
mean, it was rough, like really rough, but that moment that Ty broke down and Van just hugged her, oh, ow, oh, it was so good. It's so well done. These two actresses have great chemistry.
Yeah.
Everything about it, where it's like, then we see the second self of Ty come out, kiss Van, walk away, and Van knew right away. She was like, this is your second self. It's you. I was like, oh, wow. Like, she knows her so deeply.
I think she knows how to handle the second self better than any other person out there. And I think it's exactly why, Ty went to her in the first place. She's kind of determined this normal life that I have, it is something that I have tried to shield from all of this. But now this is here. It is loud. There's no escaping it anymore.
Okay, we got to talk about Misty because we
Yeah.
saw what happened in the past with Crystal. She was becoming really good friends with her. They were besties. They were telling each other all these secrets. And then Misty told her the secret of all secrets, which is basically, we're all here because I decided, I found the transmitter and I destroyed it. Ha ha ha. I was just like, wow, okay. I get that you wanted to tell somebody and you did, but like that was not going to be taken well by anybody, even your bestie. And it wasn't.
Yeah.
Where, Misty then was trying to be like, hey, I'll do whatever you want. Crystal's like, no, like this is information that's just too important for the group to know. And then we saw Misty actually threaten to kill her. And as that's happening, Crystal's backing up and she dies. She falls off the side of this cliff. Whether or not it's Misty killed her or it was an accident, it might have been a little bit of kind of both. I mean, you're in the middle of threatening somebody and they fall off a cliff. I mean, it's kind of a weird gray line. I don't think she was like purposefully like pushing her off the cliff.
No.
But she wasn't paying attention to what was going on. She was threatening to kill her anyways.
Yeah.
Then we're in the present with Walter, who has called out everything about Adam and Adam's mom and was just like, I'm a citizen detective and I did some research. Adam's mom is not alive. Like, you're not being truthful with me, which leads me to believe that maybe you're the person or you had something to do with Adam's death. And it's sort of the arc of how many people Misty has killed or has been, indirectly responsible for or directly responsible for dying.
I think it's important that she doesn't tell, the truth to Walter in this, because I think that's why we sort of see this Crystal scene sort of right up against it, where she's sort of like, okay, I've told the truth to somebody before.
Yeah.
It went really, really badly.
A hard truth.
Yeah, my quote-unquote bestie, I didn't even know they used the word bestie way back when, and it's just like that.
Yes, we still use it now.
See, this is just, I don't know any of this sort of like timeline stuff. VHS's bestie. No, I think the Crystal, okay, this is sort of my tinfoil hat thing on Crystal. It feels a lot like the writers just wanted to have Misty have some sort of big crazy moment in this season, so they just like made this character up out of nowhere for the sole purpose of killing her just like a few episodes later, because she's just like not even around the first season. All of a sudden Misty, I understand the idea behind doing it, like there's no real impact of losing Crystal just because I didn't care about her other than 13 minutes, I can say this, dinner. But like, it's just like they couldn't get the moose.
Well, it was also really interesting. I'd seen a lot of theories online that there was a lot of people that thought that Crystal wasn't real.
Yeah.
That Misty was like, oh, this is my bestie in my head and no one else could see her. But I mean, that's not the case. I mean, we saw somebody go up and be like, you too. So clearly Crystal was real.
I like that theory, though.
Yeah, that would have been really interesting. I mean, not that it wasn't interesting the way that it actually played out, because this is the second meal, possibly.
Okay, so a lot of this stuff with Misty is going to really come down to the simple fact of what's going on when it comes to how good she's going to be able to sort of keep this now, because this is a lot to carry on her. It's going to throw some more suspicion her way if she does not handle this well, and I think all that's going to be tricky for her. I think it makes her even more aloof, obviously, in the present day with Walter. I think we're setting up for some really interesting stuff with Misty. I think the real question is, like, is she ever really going to find a group, or is like this sort of desperation she feels just going to keep having her just sort of like careen off her own metaphorical cliff?
Yeah, because we don't really know much about Walter. I mean, Elijah Wood gave an interview where he kind of hinted he might be around next season. I mean, he didn't say it straight out,
Yeah.
but he kind of hinted that he would be. So there seems to be maybe a bigger arc for him all around, which, would be really interesting. But if he is even half of what he says he is, this could be an actual real ally.
Javi. Let's have a chat here about Javi, who for the entirety of the episode is just sort of just sitting there, not saying anything, not even
Yep.
answering to Travis. And then it is Coach Ben. Look at you, Ben. You've got a purpose.
The only other person who didn't eat.
Yeah, I'm proud of you. That's a good point. And so ultimately, all we know is that Javi was told by a friend to not come back. Who is the friend? That is the big ominous question here.
Yeah, I mean, the easiest answer would be that it could be Shauna. Shauna's a person who was like, run, run, don't look back kind of thing. And so he did get that information from her. But then it does beg the question of, well, then why didn't he just say, Sean told me not to come back?
Yeah, it's sort of, I thought of a couple of different ideas here. Is it just the one he has sort of, it's funny you mentioned imaginary friends earlier. Maybe he's got his own imaginary friend. I mean, you're out there in the wilderness for months, possibly by yourself. You don't know what that's going to do to your head. You may need to make up a social connection to survive. Or, and this is the much more interesting idea, they aren't alone out there. There are some other people. Javi made some sort of friend who is somewhere who helped feed him, take care of him. But eventually, Javi realized I need to see what's going on with everybody else. But kind of the big issue with that idea is just that he does not seem well, and he does not seem somebody who is just going to be like, I'm going to go see what's going on, with everybody else. And then he's going to go find everybody else and just not say anything.
My worry is that this is going to play out too much like Lost. There are too many similarities already with these two shows. And, it's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, Lost is a great show. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. And they are doing sort of a bit of, obviously, a different spin on what was going on Lost. But if Javi was hiding in a bunker this whole time, with the others in season 2, just like Lost, then I'm going to be like, nah.
It's got to be different. Like, I think you can probably get away with this if it's just like a person or two, but if it is like full-fledged community and you're really like expanding it out, and then you've got like some research facility and all of, then you're starting to kind of be like, okay, guys, what's going on here?
Okay, let's talk about Shauna in the present as we sort of wrap all this up. So Callie has figured out that the man that she's been with is a cop and investigating her mom. And so she feeds him bad information about Randy and then goes home and tells her parents what has been going on, the mistake that she made, and then how she thinks she fixed it. And Sean's like, okay, that's not a bad idea. That could easily be fixed by trying to push them to follow me to show that I am actually with Randy. Of course, Jeff was like, I hate this idea. I hate everything about it. It makes me feel really bad. And John's like, don't worry, we're going to sort of get through this. So she meets up with Randy at this hotel and is like, you're going to do this thing that I'm not going to repeat here in this video so that we don't get demonetized. But I mean, it was interesting how she was able to kind of get him to even consider this, where she was like, you guys, you and Jeff did this thing with the B-mail and we're not here for that. So you owe me and this is how you're going to be able to do it for me. Of course, Randy's unable to. He puts some lotion in it instead. I was like, if this cop actually goes in and puts this up to his face, like, I'm going to be not really believing it. Like, it's one thing to kind of do a forensics or something like that, which is not what they were doing, but to be like, I'm suspicious. Like, well, I'm going to put this up to my face. I'm like, why? Why would you be suspicious? Like, there's no, I know that they needed to do that to be able to move it forward, but I just didn't buy it. Not for a second.
Okay, this entire thing is just so dumb. Like, it's funny in a dumb sort of way, but all of it is dumb. It is This guy's name is Randy, which, by the way, is the perfect name for a guy like this. The entire thing that you've got these cops like scoping this situation out.
Yeah.
You have Randy being unable to perform under pressure. You have the lotion. You have the guy putting his face in. It is
No, that wouldn't happen. It's so like, and I'm saying that for a show that has some things that are really out there. I'm just like, what cop would do that?
Yeah, and it's also just the real question here is how are you going to be able to sort of connect all these sort of events? Because isn't it going to come up now in your police reports later on? How did you get more suspicious about this? How did you find out X, Y, and Z? Oh, we broke into this place.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all inadmissible. I mean, you know, he said he knows that it's not, but for him, he's just like, it just gives me legs to keep on searching for something that I can use.
Shauna, I really just you got to be around some other Yellowjackets again. You can't keep having the Randy and Jeff comedy hour. I'm sorry.
No, I was actually hoping that that was going to wrap up this particular storyline of Shauna getting investigated, because for me, this is the weakest story that's going on the show, and Shauna is one of the best characters on the show.
Well, we'll see. It seems like we're probably going to have some big stuff with Shauna when the show comes back in a couple of weeks. She might be giving birth, so we'll be able to talk about all of that.
Yeah, I'm pretty worried. I haven't said it in the video yet, but we are 22 minutes in that I think, oh my God, here we go. That tinfoil hat. Because the producers have said that the worst thing that happens this season is not what happens with Jackie. And I was like, what could be worse than that? Like, that's at the top. That's top tier worst stuff ever that happens. And then I was like, oh, but it could be that they eat Shauna's baby. And that Shauna actually participates in that herself. That is like top tier, the worst thing I can think of.
It is, yeah. I can't even imagine this shit. This show does this sort of stuff, though.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. It's a very, this show is not afraid to push the envelope. That's why I think if they are going with this whole, all the Yellowjackets are all going to kind of get picked off, a big cast member is leaving this season. That's what I feel like. And I feel like it's not going to be Misty if, you know, what Elijah Wood is like alluding to, that he might be back next season kind of thing, that then Misty would probably be around. I still think it's Natalie.
I still think it's probably Natalie too. It just makes the most sense. We just met Lottie and Van, and also you guys don't need to do that to the baby. You've got Crystal. She's right there.
That is not more shocking than what they did to Jackie. They have to have something
but that's
more shocking.
Okay, I'm gonna go try to wash all of this off of me now.
But they may not find Crystal. That's the other thing about it is Misty came back and told a lie and was basically like, I lost her. We got separated. I don't know where she is. If all of a sudden Misty's like, hey guys, look who I found. I mean, everyone already knows that Misty did some, you know, everything with the mushrooms and all of that sort of stuff. Nobody trusts her. So if she came back and was like, hey guys, I magically found Crystal, everyone's going to be like,
Yeah.
It would have to be a real desperation move that they didn't have any other food.
We'll see where everything goes. But for now, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any other coverage we have coming up. We have talked a lot of gross things in these past 5 minutes. We appreciate you still being here, and we will see you here next time.